but again, it's another validation of our process, of our products, and desirability of our offtake. And I know many followers that have been, investing and following our progress have been very keen to see how we manage that offtake of the black mass.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Technology Minerals Chairman Robin Brundle. Robin, very good to speak with you. You've signed a black mass offtake agreement with Glencore, and I saw your share price react very positively yesterday. Tell us more about the agreement.
Yes, well, we're very excited. It's another milestone for us to have an international partner such as Glencore and the standing that Glencore has. And so, yeah, we're very pleased to announce that yesterday. Glencore, as many people will know, is probably the world's largest globally diversified natural resources company. So, for us, it's a key milestone. It's able to work with us with our black mass that we produce at the site here at Wolverhampton, where we process the lithium-ion batteries to produce the black mass in the first instance.
Robin, could you explain briefly what black mass is and what Glencore would do with that?
Yeah, sure. So part of the process results, if you like, the output side of what we do, as well as aluminium and copper and the ferrous, non-ferrous plastics and so on that we naturally separate out. We end up with a dry, if you like, black powder. And that black powder sits at about 500 microns, so it's quite fine. And it contains the lithium, the nickel, the cobalt, and the manganese. And it has those four salts in it. So for us, it then needs to go on to further processing to separate those four salts. And as we've touched on before, the UK doesn't currently have capability to do that. And part of our current funding round is to generate cash enough to be able to bring that capability here to the UK so that the UK can then keep those raw materials here for the use in the gigafactories and battery manufacturers in general to use recycled material here in the UK. But for the time being, we need international partners that are strategically aligned with strategic opportunities. And of course, companies like Glencore fits beautifully into that strategic partner relationship as well for both TM1 and also for Recyclers Group. So the black mass, as I said to you, here in the UK, one of the complexities that we have is that the UK classifies the black mass as hazardous waste, purely because the regulation here says that if a product has to be further refined, it then has to be classified as a waste product. So the black mass does need further separation. However, it's not consistent around the globe, and many of those countries that are currently welcoming the black mass are actually classifying it as a product. And so this is where the complexity comes in, is when we go for the permits to enable us to ship the material. Our country has a certain waste code that has to align with the materials that are accepted into the countries that we're trying to send it to. And that's where we've seen a slight delay with Loham, for example, into India. And despite sort of 14 months of background work, we've suffered some delays there with getting those codes aligned, despite a lot of work been done in India to try and make sure that those codes could work. So the relationship we have now with Glencore as well enables us to ship to nearby Europe, and we will be using codes that have previously been accepted into Glencore's plants in Europe to be able to ship the material effectively through the tunnel. And that makes for much easier transportation as well. So yes, a lot of upsides, a lot of complexity, and a lot of opportunity.
And Robin, you're starting with a 100-ton trial phase, and after that you will then reassess the commercial terms of this agreement with Glencore, right?
Yes. So by way of explanation, the reason that we've done it this way, and that's at our request, not at Glencore's request, is that every month that goes by, we are getting better at producing better quality black mass through evolving the processes of the production processes to get to the black mass. And so what we didn't want to do, because we have a 12-month contract with Glencore, so what we didn't want to do was to say, look, the material that we're presenting to Glencore today is at a certain price. Of course, every commodity has a price, but we believe that our product actually is getting better every month. And so what we've asked for and agreed by contract is that every quarter we will assess the material and reassess the commercials, because we expect the quality to continue to improve through our processes. But just to caveat that, of course, the material we get out the back end is very much dependent upon the quality of batteries that we're putting in the front end. So there is this conundrum. It's not clear to say that in 12 months' time we're going to hit X grade, Y amount of value, if you like. But if we're putting higher grade material through, we want the ability through this contract to leverage a higher grade material as and when we produce it. So that's why we're doing an initial 110-ton trial, which we will send in one batch. So the 100 tons will go as soon as the paperwork's ready from country to country. To Germany, in this instance, the full 100 tons will go in one batch.
And of course, this also fits with your strategy of expanding your geographical presence and also entering new markets.
Yeah, very much so. And as I said to you, the relationships we have, we've got north of 25 international companies that were pitching for our black mass. And we've had to work with all of them to filter down to where we are today. And part of our strategy is that we do want a relationship with a partner that is a strategic relationship, and that's been really important part of our processing on who to decide who we will be doing business with. So that's not the work of a moment. And if you take the Indian relationship, for example, that was something that took around 17 months to mature to the point of contract. So, these things are not done in 5 minutes. So, but again, it's another validation of our process, of our products, and desirability of our offtake. And I know many followers that have been, investing and following our progress have been very keen to see how we manage that offtake of the black mass because of the complexities, but also the opportunity. And so hopefully this now gives a clear direction as to the desirability of the products.
Hope you'll keep us updated on any progress with this, Robin. Thank you very much for speaking with us. And if we don't speak to you before then, all the best for the festive season.
Thank you, Stephen, and to you too.
That's Technology Minerals Chairman Robin Brundle.